Hi, I'm Paul Seal from coaching.co.uk. Welcome to the third episode of this series where I show you how to build an e-commerce website in Umbraco using Vendr. And so far what we've done is we've installed Umbraco. We've done it in an empty install of Umbraco. Then we've added the clean starter kit package, which give us a simple website with some content. Then what we've done is we've installed Vendr, and we've added some document type properties to create a shop document type page and a product page. And we've added the required vendor properties to those. So we have a store on the home page, and we have a price and a SKU and a stock value. So we have what we need for our shop to be able to work with Vendr. So what we're going to do in this episode, this is where it starts to get good now, is we're going to create the cart functionality. So anywhere on your site where you put the add to cart button, you will be adding to this cart, which will have a number up here in the navigation. And also we'll have a cart page where we will be able to manage the items on each order line. So for this order line here, we've got lash trays. We can up that to 2 and then just update cart. Now we've got 2 of those with a total price of £21.98. We'll be able to remove items from the cart. We'll be able to add items, as we've already said. Add to cart, go to the cart, and there we have it. So that's what we'll get out of this video. So first things first, what we need to do is get our solution ready to be able to do all of this functionality. So what we need to do is we need to create a core library project, which will go with our next to our web project. So we need to add a core library to our solution. So we need to right click on the solution, do add, new project, class library. I'm using .NET Framework, but I think you should be able to use .NET Standard, but I'm just doing it because I know it definitely does work this way, and I'm doing a demo. So don't try new things in a demo. So clean shop.core is the library that we're going to create in the same route as the project that we're working with for the web project. Click on OK. It's .NET Framework 4.7.2 I'm using here. Click on OK. So now we'll just get a class library, and it will just put a sample class in there for us. So in here, we're going to have things like our controllers. So our surface controllers will go in there. They'll do the actions like add to cart, update cart, and get the cart count. And remove from cart as well. We're going to have some data transformation objects that we'll use, just basically like view models, to store the product reference and the quantities when we're adding to cart and things like that, and updating. We will have some extension methods in here to enable us to get the price of an item and display it properly, get the current store, and things like that. So that's what we're doing. That's why we're building this core project here. So we've created the core project, and then before we go any further, what we want to make sure we do is we want to add a reference to this project. So we'll right click on the web project, then we'll do add and then reference. And then we'll go to projects, and then we'll tick cleanshop.core and then do OK. So that makes sure that we don't make any mistakes at this point, because I've done it before. I've got so far and it's not working. ReSharper knows about this, but actually I didn't reference the project, so things weren't working. So you learn from your mistakes. Right, so we have our project, and what we want to do is we'll just add some extension methods to enable us to get to the point where we can get the price. So we do add folder, and we're going to call this extensions. And in this extensions, we're going to have a class called iPublishContent extensions. So we'll right click on the extensions folder, do add class, and call it published content extensions. And so this is basically the idea that your published content item is your product. So you should be able to, from a published content item, get this product and get orders and things like that. So first thing we need to do is get the product reference. So if we do we need to make this a static class. So public static class with public static methods on there. And the first one, because we're doing extension methods, they have to be static. So public static string get product reference. So we're passing this because it's an extension method. I published content and then content. Now, straight away it's complaining because it doesn't know of I publish content. So what we need to do is we need to add the libraries that it needs to know about that we're using from Umbraco. We need to add that into our core library, and the same for Vendr core libraries as well. So what we need to do is we need to go into Tools, NuGet Package Manager, Manage Packages for Solution, and we need to click on Installed and then have a look for Umbraco.cms or UmbracoCMS.web. This is the one we need to install. We should already have it installed in our web project, but what we want to do here is tick the core project and click on Install. And if we look down here, it's got a dependency on UmbracoCMS.core as well. So it will install this and it will install that. So we need them both. And also it obviously has other dependencies as well that come with it. So click on Install. So now that's installed, it does recognize this class here. So it wants me to import Umbraco core models publish content. So I've imported that, so now it's happy. So we can do our first extension method. So if we just return content, I can't spell, .key, .toString. And it's as simple as that for this one. But we're going to need to do something similar as well with the Vendr NuGet library. So we may as well, whilst we're at it, install Vendr. So again, go to Tools, Manage NuGet Packages for Solution, and just start typing in Vendr. And it's this one here, vendr.core.web. And it depends on vendr.core. So by installing this one, we'll get vendr.core as well. And just make sure that we're on the right version. So whatever the version we have for cleanshop.web, we want to use for cleanshop.core, or you might want to upgrade them both, so and therefore tick them both. So I'm going to install this one into the core project. Right, that's done. So that wasn't very long at all. So now that we've done that, we can do our other extension methods. So one of these is get product. So we need to do a public static iProduct snapshot. So public static iProduct snapshot, and that automatically, because I'm using ReSharper, recognized it's in Vendr core models. And we need to say as Vendr product. So again, it's an extension method. So we're going to be passing in this I publish content called content. And what we're going to do is we're going to return Vendr API dot instance dot get product, and we need to pass in the reference number. So we'll do content dot get product reference. So that will use the extension method on itself, and it wants a language ISO code here. So I'm just going to do null for now, and I'm not using languages, so I'm hoping that that won't cause any problems. It may cause an issue. We might have to fix that, but we can come back to it if we need to. So that's it as a Vendr product. And in order to calculate the price, we needed it as a Vendr product. So let's do public static price model. So that is in, let's just hover over this. So that's vendor core models, and that's price. So we'll do calculate price. And this is going to enable us to be able to display the price of our product on the product page. So this, I publish content. So we want to return content dot as vendor product. So we're going to use that extension method first. And if it's not null, we're going to do calculate price. So we do the Elvis operator there with the question mark dot calculate price and then end it there. So now that will return this page as a vendor product, and as vendor product it gets the product reference, and then it calls the vendor API instance and gets the product, and then from there we can use calculate price, and that will return our price object back, and all of this will allow us to use it on our view. Now I've got my keys mapped to Control U, which will remove unused using statements and sort them for us as well. So I'm doing Control Shift S now to save all, and then Control Shift B to rebuild the solution. So that's the first part here. And so we can go to our product page. So if we go to Views, Product, and then underneath the content of this, we can just do an H2 or something like that and put what the price is of this product. So we can do at model, which is our I publish content item, dot calculate price. And here you can see it's adding the using statement for us of cleansharp.core extensions. If you don't have ReSharper, you might just have to add that up there. And now it's going to calculate price. But we don't just do calculate price. What we do is we can do dot formatted as well using the vendor.core library. And we can put this in here as well, just in case. Make sure it's not null first before we do that. So that is our price. So if we just make sure we've built and we go to the front end of the site, we should be able to see on our starter kit page, if we go to shop and then we go to that product, we should be able to see a price on our product page now, if everything's gone to plan. It doesn't always. If I just log into Umbraco, we'll see what price I've entered in here. So if we go into the back office, click on that. So the price that we should be seeing is £125. And when we go into the page, please, let's not have any errors. Let's just have it working first time. I've referenced the library. I've added the extension methods. Now I've got a problem, but it's okay because I know what it is. But this is interesting actually. So it should be fine. What I've actually put there is valid, but I didn't wrap it in open brackets, in rounded brackets. If I just add those rounded brackets, save it and reload the page, you'll see that the price actually shows up. There we go. So just make sure you add those rounded brackets so that it recognizes that code. So we've got this here. It looks a bit rubbish over here. So we can have a look to see what markup we need to put this in. So if we just inspect here, looks like we need to put it in a container, a row, and a col. So actually I can just edit this HTML, copy it, and then put it on here, delete the contents of it. Do Control KD to format it nicely. Stick the price inside that div there. And let's have a look at it now. Save all that. Refresh. There we go, we've got the price now. So we have our price, and the aim here is to be able to add this to the cart. So what we want to do is we want to add a form. So what we can do is do @using and then open brackets html.begin Umbraco form. And our action is going to be add to cart. And our controller name is going to be cart surface. Now the problem here is we don't have a surface controller yet. So it's at this point when we need to actually create that surface controller. So we're going to our solution, open our core project, right click on here, do add folder, and then we'll call it controllers. And then we'll do add folder again, and we'll call it surface. Just because we might have different types of controllers, we might have render MVC controllers as well. In this, we're going to add another class inside this called cart surface controller. And this is going to be public, and it's going to inherit from surface controller. So we do the colon, just move the mouse out of the way, surface controller. And it will recognize that that's in Umbraco web.mvc. And also we'll add a using for system.web.mvc as well, because we'll be using that. And in here we're going to pass in some services that we're going to need. So these services we will need for doing the add to cart and things like that. So in this here we're going to, sorry, it's not going to be a class. This is the constructor for this class. So just copy the class name. So public cart surface controller, and then using dependency injection, we're going to be passing in an iSession manager from vendor core session, and call that session manager like that. Then we're going to pass in iOrder service. Again, that's from vendor core services. And we're going to do unit of work provider, that's the one, and just call that unit of work provider. We're going to pass these in and set some private read-only properties above. So private read-only iSession manager, session manager, private read-only iOrder service, and that will be our order service, and then private read-only unit of work provider, unit of work provider. Now you might have your own naming conventions. You don't have to follow mine. These are the ones that I like to use, but you might prefer to do it a different way. That's fine. Don't worry about that. Session manager equals underscore session, sorry, wrong way round, underscore session manager. So set the private variable is equal to the one passed in. Order service is equal to order service, and unit of work provider is equal to unit of work provider. Now, so I was talking to Matt Brailsford about this. Matt is from Outfield Digital, who makes Vendr, and he told me that you could, if you wanted to, pass in iVendor API like this, and then it's a facade with extension methods to do all of the things that these do. But I've got it working like this before, so I'm going to carry on like this because this is what I've had the most success with. So just to be aware that there is that shortcut using that iVendor API. So first of all, then we want to get the cart count. So when we've added something to the cart, we want to get the cart count, and we want to do the add to cart method as well. So let's just do a cart count. So we'll make this a child action only, meaning that you can't call this by going directly to the URL. It has to be called from a view. So we'll do public action result, and we'll say cart count. What we want to do is we want to get the current store. So this is where we're going to need to add another publish content extension, sorry. So to get the current store, we do public static store read only get store. And again, we're going to get it from the current publish content item. So this I publish content. And then the way we get the store is because we know that we put the store property in Umbraco. We put that property on the home node, which is at the root of our site within the tree. So it's the route from wherever we are going up. So we put it on here as a property called store. So what we need to do is basically return that value back. So if we would do content.root and we do .value and we tell it to come back as a store read only, and then we pass in the property name of the property alias of store. So that will get our store for us. And while we're here, there's one more that we need to do, and that is get the current order. So we'll do public static, and then we'll do order read only get current order. So again, it's this I publish content being passed in, and we want to return vendor API dot instance get current order, and we'll give it the GUID of the store, which we can get from content dot get store, and then .id. So now we have that. We can get that. So we've added the last extension methods that we need to. So going back to our cart surface controller, we need to make it so that we can get the cart count. So in order to do that, we need to do var store equals current page dot get store using the extension method. So you'll find that we've now added another using for CleanShop core extensions. So we're getting the store. We want to then also get the order. So var order equals session manager dot get current order, and then store dot id. And return partial view, which we're going to create, which will just literally just display the number with brackets around it. So that's going to be put into views, partials, and then cart count. And now it'll be red here because I don't know if it's Visual Studio or ReSharper, but one of the two is making this red, saying that it can't resolve this as a path. So, and before we do that, we're just also passing in what we're going to give it. So it'll be order question mark dot total quantity, and then if it's null, just give it a 0. So that's the null coalescing operator there. So now we'll go to solution and we'll go into partials and we'll add this. Now what I like to do with views and partials is just copy one that's already there. Otherwise, Visual Studio tries to install some new packages and thinks that you're trying to scaffold a controller with partials and things like that. So just copy and paste a view that exists. It's far easier, saves you time. So I'm going to do cart count, and it saves things annoyingly being created. So in here, we'll just delete everything. You can use @inherits Umbraco view page, or you can do @model, because all it's going to be at the end of the day is just an int. But what I'm going to do is just leave it as Umbraco view page, passing in the model of int there. And then inside here, I'm actually just going to do open brackets, close brackets. So they will actually be displayed, and then I'll do @model. So that the model is the value that got passed in, which is just the number. So it's as simple as that for this. Just delete the spare line there. So that is all this view is going to show us. It's just the cart count. So that's our first action there. And then the next action we need to create is the add to cart action. So this is going to be an HTTP post from system.web.mvc. So we add that attribute above it, and then we're going to do public action result add to cart. And for this, I did mention we're going to have some data transformation objects. So the first one is going to be this one called add to cart DTO, and we'll just call that our post model. So in order to be able to use that, we need to create it. So if we go to our solution and we've got our core project here, we do a folder now called models, add new folder, DTOs. And I'm following the convention that was laid out in the Vendr demo store by Matt. So we'll do add class, and we'll do add to cart DTO. And this add to cart DTO is going to have the product reference on it, and it will also have the quantity as well. So public class, it's just got the two properties. So public string product reference get and set, and another one public string quantity get set. Not string, I'm doing it as an int. Now you might have quantities that are like 1.5 and things like that, so that might need to be a decimal. It's worked for me as an integer, so just bear it in mind. So there are no usings for this. So if we copy that, so we've already got that. It recognizes it already. Import clean shop core.dtos. So it's happy with that now. So now that we have that model, we can start to use that model in our add to cart method. So if we go here and we wrap it all in a try catch. So in our try, we want to do a using, and we want to use a unit of work provider to create a unit of work. So var UOW equals unit of work provider, UOW. I always get the letters mixed up here. So var UOW provider dot create. So that's what we're using here. And what this does is, if the transaction, if you think of it like a SQL transaction where it begins a transaction, and if it doesn't end the transaction, so let's say it falls into the catch, then the whole thing won't go through. So it won't update it at all if there's any errors. So that's why we're wrapping in this here. So we do var store, and we know how to get the store because we've got current page dot get store. One thing about current page, some people might be thinking this is an anti-pattern. You shouldn't use current page, but that's when you were using it on views, and that was in V7 when you had dynamics. You can't use current page on V8 on the views anyway now, but current page in the controllers is fine because it's a strongly typed I publish content, so it's okay to use it there. So we've got the store, and then we do var order, and then to get the order we do session manager dot get or create current order, and we know the store, so we pass in the ID. And then here we just do another method, and we do it as writable, and we'll pass in the unit of work variable. And then another line here of add product. So this comes from the post model. We want to add the product reference, and we want to add the quantity. Post model dot quantity. Now this is expecting a decimal. Even though I'm using an integer, it is actually expecting a decimal here, if you see that. So it should be fine. What I'll do is I'll just go in and change it anyway, because if that's what it's expecting, then that's what I should be passing in, really. So that's our add to cart part there. And then when you've done all that, we just call uow.complete, and this is the bit that, so uow.complete, this is the bit that I was saying before. If this doesn't get called, then the transaction, as it were, gets abandoned. Right, and so there's something else to create as well, and that is this in the catch. What Matt's given us in his example code is a validation exception. So what we can do is we can have a look at this on here. Let me just get this. So yeah. If there's an error that comes out of Vendr, we can catch a validation exception. And that is in vendor.core.exceptions. So we can just do that EX there. And if we get this, what we can do is we can add it to the model state. So we can do add model state.add model error on the product reference. And then we can just say what the error was. So we'll just say failed to add product to cart. So we've caught that exception, and then we just return current Umbraco page if that's the case. If it wasn't an error and we get past this, then one thing that's good on the demo site and the demo GitHub repo that Matt does is that he uses this in temp data, and he puts in added product reference equals post model.product reference. And on the view, he has a look to see if there's a value in that temp data value on when the page loads again. And if there is a value, then he shows a toaster message to say added to cart and things like that. I've not done that yet. I didn't want to complicate this yet, but we'll save this in here, and then we can always come back to that in another episode. I didn't want to complicate it by introducing you to toaster or toastify or whatever it is. I think it's toaster. Again, I'm confusing things, so I'm just going to avoid it for now. But just know that that's why we're using that, so we will use it later. So here, because we've got it successful, we'll do redirect to current Umbraco page. So that is our add to cart action result. And just to go step back through it, so we're going to using the unit of work provider, we're going to create a unit of work. The store, we're going to get it from our extension method that we've created. The order is we're going to either get or create an order. And then we've got this uow.complete. Now I think I need to actually save that. So I've missed a step in here, so I'm glad I went back over this. So I actually, if anyone's watching this, they're probably thinking, oh, you idiot, you should have done this. But it's okay, it's good that I did, because now we can see where I went wrong. If we go to order service and then do .save order, and then we'll give it the order. So otherwise it was not going to save anything. So now we're calling order service.save order, and then we're completing on that. So that should work now. So now that we've got our add to cart method, we can go back to where we were previously on the product, and we were trying to add this form. So now we can come back to this and we can do the add to cart. We have our add to cart action on the cart surface controller. And if you've not done MVC before, we miss off the word controller. So it's just cart surface, but basically that maps to the cart surface controller. Then what we want to do is, in here we want to do an @html.hidden, give it the ID of product reference, well, give it the name of product reference, and the value will be model.getProductReference. So that's our product reference, which will get passed in the add to cart. And we also want to add the quantity, which we'll do as another hidden for now. We'll just do @html.hidden quantity, and we'll do a 1 like that, because we don't have an input box for the quantity at the moment. So we're just saying add to cart, just add this item to the cart. And then what we want in here as well is we want a button to be able to add this to the cart. So we'll just do button class equals btn, btn warning, add to cart. And we could use font awesome here. We could do add iClass equals FAS FA cart, I think. Let's have a look for FA cart. I think it's FAS FA cart. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think there was a cart ad as well. So I'll just have a quick look on the internet for fontawesome.com and do cart ad, just to make that a little bit of a better icon. Cart plus. There we go. So now we've done that, we can Control-Shift-S, Control-Shift-B, make sure that we've done a rebuild so that the surface controller and everything like that will work. Then in here, we go to our page. We've already got the price displaying, and now what we want to do is add our add to cart button. There we go. We've got our add to cart button. If we click on that, it's done a post back to the page, and I think that did go through successfully. So what we can do is we can go back to our main navigation. We can have a look on this main navigation here, And we can do something that I did on the Megan Thomas lashes. Let me just see what I did on there on the main navigation. So we can add a link to our cart page, which we don't have yet, but we can create a link to it and then we can create the page later. So we'll do li class equals and then nav item. Oops. Nav hyphen item, close brackets, and we'll make it a link. A class equals nav link. And then we can do href equals cart. So we do / cart like that. And you can make this strongly typed. You can look for the cart document type and then use that .url if you want to. You can come back to that later. But for now, that's how I'm doing it. But also, just see if this works by making this nav link be a button with a button SM button default. We'll see how that looks in the navigation. So we've got our A link, and what we want to do is we want to put a non-breaking space in there, and we want to do cart and another non-breaking space, and then do the count. We probably don't need these non-breaking spaces, but we'll see. So now what we're doing here is we do at html.action. The action is cart count, because that's the one we added in here. So we want to display the cart count, that one, from the surface controller called cart surface. Give that a build just in case, and then we'll reload, and what we should see is an extra one here in the nav called cart, and it is, and it's worked, and it's actually got brackets 1, so it thinks there's something in there. I think one of the classes that I've added has broken this, so I'm just going to leave it as a nav item and go back here and refresh. I think I broke the styling of it. Yeah, so we've got our cart and it's got a 1, so that's good. And so if we click on add to cart again, now it's got a 2. So we're getting to the good bit here. So we are adding things to the cart. So we've got it updating and showing in our navigation. And if we wanted to, we could add the shopping cart icon in here. So if we go to our code again, and inside the A, what we could do, we could do the I class equals FA shopping cart. Refresh that. Yay, so now we have our shopping cart. So we're at the point now where we've added something to the cart. If we wanted to, we could add a quantity. So where we have the, if we go back to the code, where we had the hidden for the quantity on the product, we might want to make that quantity be at html.textbox4. M goes to m.quantity. And actually, we're not, no, maybe it's just a text box. Yeah, I'm doing it again. So it's just text box for quantity, and then we can just give it the value of 1 to start with. Remove the hidden for quantity, and then we'll see what happens here. We might need to put this in an input group or something like that. Maybe it's the right thing to do. Let me just see on this one. Div class equals input group. Move that up there. Refresh this, and we should see a input for the quantity now. There we go. And we could even could do a div class equals input group button. This might not like it, but also we could pass in the type here, so we can do new HTML attributes here. So you don't have to say you don't have to put the HTML attributes bit. If you just do new object and then do @type equals and then number, and you can put a class on it as well. You can do form control. So class, do @class equals form control input number, and then refresh this. And now we have arrows. It's gone all the way across. The styling of it doesn't really matter, but the idea here is that we've got an input. We can add 5 to the cart now. So now our cart's got 7. If we click on the cart link, it goes to a page not found. So we've done our add to cart. What we want to do now is work on the cart page and add the other actions for update cart and remove from cart. So what we can do is we can work on the code for update cart and remove from cart first. So let's add update cart now then. So it's another HTTP post, and we want to call it a public action result update cart, and this is going to have an update cart DTO. Again, we don't have that, so we're going to have to go off and create this. So we'll go up to here into DTOs, do add class update cart DTO, and so we need to create our update cart DTO. So it's a public class update cart DTO, and this is going to have another object on it. It's going to have an array of something else, so we have to create the something else underneath it. So this is public class order line quantity DTO, and this has got, for the order line, it's got the GUID as the ID, get and set that. It's also got a public decimal for the quantity, get and set there. And then above we can do an array here, so public, because there could be multiple order lines here, so public order line quantity as an array called order lines get set. So that's our update cart DTO, and we'll do one for the remove from cart as well while we're here. So add class remove from cart DTO. This one's a lot smaller, so public class, and we just want to pass in the GUID. So public GUID order line ID get set. So this removes the whole line. So now that we've got those DTOs, we can actually add these actions in. So our update cart one then, so we're going to start with try, so we're going to wrap it around with try, and we're going to use a validation exception catch. So, and if it fails, we want to pass it in the model state dot add model error product reference failed to update order line. And then, well, failed to update cart. And then we'll just return current Umbraco page. So that's if we don't succeed, but hopefully we will succeed. And if we do, then we need to do the whole using unit var UOW again. UOW equals UOW unit of work provider dot create. So using that, we're going to get the store again. So store equals current page dot get store. Using that extension method that we created, bar order equals session manager dot get or create current order with the store dot ID. Then on this we'll do as writable and then UOW. Then what we're going to do is loop through the order lines. So for each of the var order line in the post model, which is our update cart DTO. Now remember, we created an array of order lines. So we're going to loop through those for all of those lines, order dot with order line, giving it the ID. We want to dot set quantity. So this is all about setting the quantity. And if you set the quantity to 0, then that will just remove that line. Again, this time we won't forget, but we'll do order service dot save order and then tell it the order variable, and then we'll do UOW dot complete. So unit of work provider dot complete. It's the variable UOW dot complete. So that's our update cart, and then if that's successful, we will do again something to set the way for later by return temp data cart updated equals true. So we're going to use that on another episode, not this one. Return redirect to current Umbraco page. So we're happy with that. It's a successful operation there. And then the other one that we need to write, the last one that we need to write on this episode is public remove. Sorry, it's an action result. Remove from cart. Remove from cart, and this is going to use the remove from cart DTO that we have already created at this point. Again, as a post model. So you're seeing the convention that we're using here. Again, we're going to do a try. We're going to use the validation exception that they wrote for us. And we're going to do the model state dot add model error, and we're going to tell it the product reference again. And then we're going to say failed to remove item from cart. And we'll return current Umbraco page if we had an error at this point. Inside the try, let's see if you can guess. We'll do using var, using first, then the brackets, var UOW equals the provider, unit of work provider dot create. So we create the unit of work provider. We get the store again equals current page dot get store. So it's starting to get familiar now. I'll just move this up the screen a little. Var order. Again, how do we get the order? We get it from the session manager dot get or create current order with a store dot ID because we've got the store from above. And then we take these semicolon off there. We'll do as writable using the UO unit of work and another dot, and we'll do remove order line. And we're going to say post model dot order line ID. And again, let's make sure we use the order service dot save order, and that is order. And then unit of work provider dot, oh no, sorry, I keep getting that mixed up, UOW dot complete. So if it didn't catch an error, then we want to we'll do another one of these. So we'll do temp data item removed from cart. And we'll do equals true. We might want to just put a toaster message up later about that, and we'll do return redirect to current Umbraco page. So they are our, there's a lot of code we've written there, but that's our cart surface controller done. I'm going to do control and U again, so that'll update our usings, sorted them in order and done that. So yeah, these are all the usings that we've done. So we have our code. So now we want to start working on the view for our cart page. So we want to add the cart document type with some basic properties for the header and things like that. Then when we've got that document type, then we want to just add the view with the form, things like that. So let's go into the back office. And let's create our cart document type. We don't need to create any specific properties for the cart page. We can just use compositions that we've already created. It's just going to be a simple page. So if we go into settings, go to document types, pages, it's basically going to be similar to a content page. So it's going to have content, SEO, and visibility. So main image controls, content controls, header controls, SEO controls, and visibility controls. So if we do create document type, we'll let it do the first one, and that will create the template for us as well, and with the same name. And we'll give it an icon. Just have a look to see. So I think we'll create it with this one. We might find that we've already created the other one with that icon. We can always sort that out later. So we'll do content controls, header, main image, SEO, and visibility. Submit that and save. And just go to the shop, see what icon. Yeah, we use the shopping bag for the shop, so that's good. Under home, we want to be able to have permission to create the cart under there. So we'll just, what I did there, I went to the permissions tab on the home document type. I've clicked on add child and I've chosen cart, and now I'll do save. So if we go back to content and we do create, we want to create a cart page, call it cart. We give it an image. It doesn't matter which image. And we don't need to set any properties. We just save and publish, so now we have a cart page. In Visual Studio, what we want to do is refresh the views, and we want to include this in the project. Also, let's just go to app data and have a look at models. We can see that cart.generated isn't included for some reason. So we'll right click and include that in the project, and we'll do a rebuild solution. So now we have the cart model for models builder is also now in the build. And so when we go into cart here, it should recognize this. It might not be lighting up with the models or anything yet, but it should recognize it at some point. So with us having this, we should be able to just put some of the basic things that we had before. So we want it to have its layout to be from master. And because it doesn't recognize that, what we need to do is just go into settings, go to templates, go to cart, and just tell it that its master template is called master. So we'll choose that and then we'll save. Now these ones, none of these that we've created have done that, but that's just showing you that you can do that, and then that way it shows underneath that, so it knows that it inherits its outer layout from there. So if you wanted to, you could go through and update all of those. So we have our layout, and then what we want to do is we want to add some of these things from the content template, like the article, get grid HTML and things like that. So we'll just go back to here, copy and paste that over, and we'll import the types. So the clean core extensions and clean core view models. So now we have our page header and everything like that. So if we rebuild the solution, and hopefully if we go to the front end of the site and we click on the cart page, what we should find is a basic page similar to one of the content pages that we can now add our cart table to. And so we're going to be ending up with a cart which is similar to this, obviously not exactly the same. This is using a different theme, but we're going to have a basic version of this where you'll see the order lines and you'll be able to manage the order lines. So we have a cart page. It didn't fall over, so that's a success. So let's move on and start adding this to it then. So we'll leave that above there, and then we'll just do a div class equals container. And in this, we will put our cart further down. So we'll put a title for this, so H3 shopping cart. And remember, we're using Umbraco content management system. We've got dictionary keys that we could use for this, or you could put it as a property on the page, or you could get it from the title. For now, I'm just doing it as HTML hard-coded. Put a new line in there. And then what I want to say is, if model isn't null, and now we need to check the order. So we need to have an order to look for. So var order equals model, so which is the content, published content item, get current order. So remember, we created an extension method for that. So get current order. And that's using clean shop core extensions to get that. So now we have our order, so we can do this if check in here. So if open brackets, if the model isn't null and the order is not null, and the order has some order lines, so dot any, then we're in business. So at this point here is where we would create our form. So using, is it using or at? Using, we don't need to do an at because we're already inside a code block. So using html.begin Umbraco form, and we've already got an action that we can use, so update cart, and that is on our cart surface. Then inside this, we're just going to put some markup in for a responsive table using Bootstrap table responsive. Obviously, tables aren't really responsive. You might want to do this yourself with custom HTML, but for now, for the purposes of this demo, that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to use an HTML table, and we're going to give it a class of table and table shopping. Then we're going to have a T head, and in this T head we're going to have a row of headers, so TR, and in this row we're going to have TH. So the first header is product, the next header is going to be empty. I'm going to do 2 of those, and then we want another one in here. We're going to call this price. I'll just scroll up, and after price we want the quantity. After the quantity, it's the amount, and then we'll leave it empty after that. So that's our T head, table head, and then we want the table body after that. So we do T body. And at this point, we want to loop through all of the order lines that's on the order. So we already know that the order is not null, and we know that it does have order lines, so we don't need to check that again. So we can go straight into doing a for each. So we do for each var item in order.order lines, and then we will select an object. And I think it's called an anonymous object here. So OL and I being the index, OL being the order line, and we'll go off to new, and this new object is going to have a property called order line equals OL, and index equals I. Equals I. Now this isn't liking it at the moment, but we just need to sort that out. So I think I needed to put these in squiggly brackets, and we need to put some squigglies after that. So here, let's just make sense of this then. For each item in the order lines, we need to create a new anonymous object with a property of order line and an index. So then from here, we can do var product each time, and we can do umbraco.content, open brackets, item.orderline.product reference as GUID. There we are. So we're getting that as the GUID. And that will give us the product from the as a content item from the Umbraco cache. So umbraco.content gets a content item from the cache. So now that we have that, we want to get the image. And the image is a property called main image on this within this site. So we'll do var image equals product.value as an iPublish content main image. Now you could do safety checks to see if it's null and things like that. At the moment, I did set an image. I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing more on the cart. But be aware that you might want to check for nulls and things like that. So each time we're going to have a new row. And in each row, we're going to have some cells. So in the first cell is going to be the image. So TD, we'll do a div inside there. We'll do if the image, so here I am checking if it's null or not. So if it's not null, let's render out an image, and we can wrap it in an we can wrap it in a link as well. We can do @product.url. So this can go off to the product, and inside that we'll have the image tag with a source, which will be @image.url. And actually what we might want to do is get a crop URL for this. So we'll take that off the end there. And we'll just get a small thumbnail. Now you can use image cropper. I've done a video about image cropper where you can use named crops and things like that. But for ease, I'm just doing it as a 120 square just for the demo. But again, it's something to be aware of. People might point it out. No need to worry about that at the minute. Just know that it's there. So we do TD colspan equals 2. So this cell is going to take over 2 cells. And in this one is where we're going to have the name of the product and the link to the product. So we'll just do in here ahref, and then we'll do @product.url. So that's going to go off to the product, and in there we'll do and then we'll do @product.name. Actually, I think this can be .orderline.name actually. Yeah, do @orderline. It's item.orderline.name. So we've got that one there, and then we need to move on. So let's just refer back to this because we've done a lot of typing. So we've got our image, we've got our title row, we're on to this part here. We've got our image, we've got our link with the name of the order line, and then we'll go on to the price next. So in here we're going to put in the price, so it's a TD again, and it's @item.orderline, and then we want to do .unitprice.value. So we're going to show the value of the unit price formatted. And we need to just wrap that in the closing bracket. So that's our unit price per item. And after that, we want to show the quantity. So in the next cell, we'll do a div class equals input group. And in here, we'll do a hidden at html.hidden. And this is where we use, because for the form to recognize the individual lines, and we were using an array for the update cart DTO. For this to map together, what we do is we use this. So we put in our order lines like that, and then we do square brackets, and inside that we do item.index. So this is this item within the array, the ID of this item, and then we want to do the item.orderline. .id. So we're saying that for this array, this order line position ID is this ID. And also we're going to have a quantity. So we do at html.textbox. And it's going to be for this order lines. So we could, in theory, copy this first part and not use the ID. This is going to be the quantity. And after the comma, we'll pass in the quantity, which is, I'm casting it to an int, item.orderline.quantity. And we'll give it a class. So again, where we did it before, if we do new squiggly brackets, that sees it as an HTML attribute. I can put this on a new line. So this is going to have a class, and it's going to be a class of form control. And it's also going to have another class of input number and quantity. And its type is going to be a number. You don't have to put at type, but you can do. You can leave it off as well. So we'll leave it off this time and show you that it can work with it off. So that's the field now. If we look on here, so that's going to be this. We're not adding these buttons. These buttons were just an extra touch to manage the quantity. You don't need to manage it like that. And then the amount will be next. So we do another TD. And this time it's just open brackets again, and you do item.orderline.totalprice.value.formatted. And then one of the other things to do now is the remove. So if we flick back to this, what we're going to do is the remove action. So we're doing, it's going to be a link. So ahref equals, and this will be a url.surface action. And it's going to be called remove from cart. So this needs to match the name of the action that you created. So cart surface. So if this isn't working, you need to just double check that on your surface controller that you called this action the right name. So remove from cart is what we've called it. And that's cart surface there. And then we need to pass in new order line ID as an additional route equals item.orderline.id. So that can be there, and then we'll just do rel equals tooltip. So if your Bootstrap has got tooltips, then what it can do is, for how we did this, it just places this remove item. We don't have to add this, but it's nice little extra. It's getting a bit long now. We just move this over. Hopefully you can still see it on the screen. And do class equals button and button hyphen link. And inside this, what we want to do is use another one of those icons from the Font Awesome. You don't have to use Font Awesome, use whichever you want. So do remove and then do I class equals FAS FA times. So that will be the cross. And then at the bottom, after the body, before the closing part of the body, what we want to do is add an extra row, which will be it will be basically the footer. So TR, so this is the extra footer row really. And in here, we're going to do things like this. So the first cell is empty. I'm going to copy that, paste it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, something like that. So the first one's empty. The next one is got a column span of 2. Column span equals 2. And that's going to say total. The next one after that is going to have a class of TD price. And inside it, we're going to do in the rounded brackets, the at and rounded brackets, we're going to do order. So the order as a whole, subtotal price dot value dot formatted. So that will show the full price. Then we'll leave an empty one. And then in here, what we want to do is do a button to update the cart. So we'll give it a class of button, BTN. And we'll give it a color for BTN success. And also give it some rounds. I don't know if it will work, but BTN round. I'm not sure because we're just using a basic theme. And then the title, we'll give it a refresh cart. And then update cart. And then we'll do I class equals FAS FA. I think, is it recycle, the one we use there? FA sync. So that it will give us this button here. And then complete purchase is going to be the last one that we do. We'll make the text be right. So TD class text right, and in here we want to link off to the checkout. Now you might want to get the checkout first, and then you can do at shop at checkout page dot URL, whatever you want to do. But what we'll do is we'll just do at href equals checkout for now, and then we'll just make this be a button info. button round. Go to checkout. And we'll do the cart. So FAS. So we do I class equals FAS FA shopping cart again. I think that is it in terms of that, and then we'll just need to add something in at the bottom just in case there is no order. So if that all is null and there is no order, then what we might need to do is do an else just to display a message to give them a link to the shop page. And what you can do is you can do var shop page equals model.root children of type and then you can say product list. I think we called it, or might have called it shop. I think we called it shop, our document type. But what we can do is we can just go into here and just double check. Go into our document type, so we want shop. Yep, it was just called shop. So we want to look for that, get the first or default of that from underneath the root of this site. So we have our shop page, and then what you can do is you can just put a paragraph just to say your shopping cart is empty. And then if shop page is not equal to null, then with that being the case, what we can do is we can give it another paragraph. So this is an extra optional paragraph. If we found the shop page, we can say go to the, and then ahref equals at shop page. And then at shop page.name to add some more items to your cart. Well, not even more, just add some items to your cart. Right, so that's our view now for the cart. And again, we've done, it's a bit of a typing exercise this episode. There's so much to fit in, but hopefully I've explained what things are along the way and how you use them and why we're using them. And I'm really hoping that this works. So if we refresh the cart page, what we should see in front of us is something not too different to this. And it would be even better if not only did we see something, but if it actually works. So fingers crossed, fingers and toes all crossed. First things first, we didn't get an error. Oh, look at this. We've got a product. We've got a link with an image off to the product page. So we can just middle click that to see if that works. So that has gone to the product page. That's good. Again, we've got the title here. So that will go off to the product page. We've got the individual price, and we've got 7 of these in our basket. So this order line itself is costing us £875. We can reduce the quantity. Let's just click on update cart and see if that is set up to work. That has worked because it's updated the amount here. So it knows that we've only got 3. Oh, that's a relief. We can remove from cart. So let's click on this, please work. The shopping cart is empty, so that's showing that the shopping message is working as well. And even this, we didn't, right, we can fix that. So it's something to fix, that's good. So I didn't do that one properly, so there's one thing. But let's just go to this page here and add it to the cart again. And then we can go back to cart. There we have it. And then go to checkout. So when we have a checkout, which we'll be doing in the next episode, we will be able to then follow this through to do it, setting it up for payment and things like that. But we do have almost a working shopping cart here. One thing we need to just do is this. Oh, let's just see if update cart when it's 0 quantity works. Yeah, that's removed it from the cart. Let me go back a page, add this to the cart again, go to cart. And so let's just see what this, I think it was just, yeah, so remove works. It was just this, wasn't it? Umbraco publish web models.shop. Oh, okay, maybe I didn't do .url on the link, and maybe you already saw that, but you couldn't tell me because this is recorded. So yeah, just .url. Refresh this. Click on that. Yes, it's worked. So then we can go into here. We can add some things. I'll have 4 of these items. Click on cart. We've got a working cart, item lines, and everything like that. All right, we don't have multiple products. Shall we add some products? Let's just add another product. Let's add a ticket for Code Garden. So new product, Code Garden 2021 ticket. Oh, if only. Let's see if it'll work. Let's see if we'll ever go back to Code Garden, if we're ever allowed to travel again. Let's say it is £500. Stock, 750 people can go. I don't know what the SKU is. Save and publish this. So now we've added a second product. We can go to the shop. Oh, we've got 2 carts. We can sort that out. I'm not really worried about that in this. Ooh, we've got an item. We've got a price. Let's add it to the cart. Let's go to the cart. We've got 2 order lines. It's working. Let's see if I can just remove this order line. It worked. This order line. It worked. We've got a working shopping cart. Yeah, it's been a lot of work actually doing this episode, but I'm really happy with the outcome of it. That the fact that we've got this working shopping cart, and hopefully you've been able to follow along. Sorry if it's been a long episode, but it's probably the most valuable episode of the whole series, I would say, in terms of what I've needed to try and pass on to you. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please click on like, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out, if you want to find out more about Vendr, go to vendr.net. And also, they've got documentation on here as well. You can click to see their demo store. So probably similar to this. You've got their documentation and you can download it. And you can buy Vendr, I think it's €1,500 for your project that you're going to use it on, for your store. And if you do like this video and you want to buy me a coffee, say thanks, you can do at codeshare.co.uk/coffee, but please don't feel obliged to. It's only a thing if you was thinking about doing that, that's up to you. There's just somewhere for you to do it. And I will see you on the next episode, and hopefully it won't be a marathon episode like this one. All right, thanks for watching and take care. See you in the next episode. Bye.